allows you to understand that I'm I'm allowed to be up here talking with you. I'm qualified enough to be up here talking to you. So I thought what we would do is kind of touch on each of the topics that you're going to be covering during the challenge. We're not going to dive deep into everything because we don't have enough time. And I thought what I would do too is let's save the questions for the end so that we respect everyone's time. And I am more than willing to hang out after, and maybe we can answer questions more one-on-one if we need to, okay? I feel sorry for you because I think with social media and all the stuff we have out there, there is more nutrition stuff than we know what to do with, right? It's crazy. You know, you go on TikTok or Facebook or Instagram, and you're gonna just be bombarded with information. So if there's one thing I can tell you, I want you to kind of create a little filter for yourself. When you're looking at the nutrition information, you have to take everything with a grain of salt per se. And the first thing I would advise is that when you're looking at the information, look at who's writing it and where it's coming from, okay? You want it to come from a dietitian. You want it to come from someone who's educated in the field, who's not, I won't say been through the trenches, but has the education and the scientific background to give you the right information. Because people lose weight, they're nutritionists. People do a bodybuilding show, they're trainers. That's just how society is now. So I think if you can filter the nutrition information by who's writing it and try to make sure it's being written by a registered dietitian, even more so than a physician, because unfortunately, a lot of our doctors don't even know a whole lot about nutrition. The other thing is, nutrition, you're going to see, if you ask me a question, I might answer it with, it depends. Because with nutrition, there's no cookie cutter approach. What works for me is not going to work for you. What works for you is probably not going to work for you. And I think in these next couple of weeks, the biggest thing you can do is realistically define your lifestyle. So you have to know what your lifestyle is and what's going to work for you. If you are not a morning person, do not make yourself sign up for the 5 o'clock class here. I mean, it's not going to work, And it's okay, though. They have night classes. It's fine. As much as I love breakfast, if you are absolutely not a breakfast person, then I'm not going to hammer that into you that you have to eat breakfast. Is it a good idea? Absolutely. But there are ways around it, and you have to know what works for you. There's all these things, and we're not even going to go here, but there's the intermittent fasting, there's the keto, there's this, there's that. I'm not saying any of it is right or wrong, and some of it may work for you, but you have to kind of sort through everything and figure out what's going to fit you the best. Because you be you, everyone is unique, and you have to find out what's realistically going to work for you. You can't copy someone else's. You can for about 2 to 3 weeks, and then you're going to realize that somebody else's plan is not working for you, and you've got to kind of piece together your own. So that's my little soapbox tip of advice. Okay, the first thing you guys have on your little agenda, let's call it, interpreting the nutrition label. That's fun, right? Yes. It's changing. They're changing the way they're doing the label. They're trying to make the numbers, like the calories and the serving sizes and stuff, bigger so we can see them. I think the biggest thing when you're looking at a label, I brought one, how about that? Like this is what it looked like before, And then see how they're making the numbers bold and bigger. The biggest thing you want to look at is the serving size. Because you could have, let's say, a bottle of something, all right? And it's gonna say on there 250 calories. You could easily drink this whole bottle, right? But that 250 calories may be 8 ounces. And this bottle might be 14 ounces. So you have to make sure that you're looking at the calories and the serving size so that you're not eating the entire box or drinking the entire bottle thinking you're only getting 250 calories when in fact you're getting more because there's 2 servings in here. Okay, so serving size, very, very important when you're looking at the label. Another thing that's really important is the ingredient list. And that should probably be the first thing you look at. And if it's like a laundry list and it's really long, leave it in the store. Do you want all that garbage? Because that's probably what it is if it's really long. And the first couple ingredients in there are the most prominent. That's what's in the product. So if the first ingredient is sugar, it's probably not a good idea either. Okay? So look at the ingredient list, make sure you can pronounce it, and make sure it's not too long, too lengthy. Okay? There's other things on the label, like you're gonna see total fat grams, and then they're gonna break that down, which is really nice, because the saturated fat and the trans fat is what we don't want. So you can look at the total fat grams, and as long as the saturated and trans are low, then you're good. Then you've got total carbohydrates. And underneath that, it breaks it down into fiber, which we all want. That's good for digestive purposes and everything. And then it has total sugars and added sugars, okay? The added sugars are the things that make it taste better, but aren't necessarily good for us. So again, you're looking at the total sugars, but also pay attention to that added sugars, because that's probably the stuff that we don't really want a whole lot of, okay? So, in a nutshell, that's the label. I think maybe when that week hits us and you're interpreting the nutrition label, maybe people can put certain labels on there if one confuses you or something about it is confusing, and then that can be addressed at that time. Or if you have other questions, we can do that. Okay, so that's the label. So that's the first one. The second one, what's the big deal about fruits and vegetables? I think you should already know that. I mean, I was thinking about this, I'm like, well, pros and cons. There's no cons to eating fruits and vegetables. I mean, nothing really. Taste, maybe for some people. But, you know, think about the rainbow. Think about how fun it is to have color in our lives, right? So you want to make sure you're eating the rainbow. And I think, you know, the heart benefits to eating fruits and vegetables, the reducing inflammation, preventing disease, all the benefits that are there. So I think with the fruits and vegetable week, I guess everything's a week, right? With that, I think the best thing there is going to be maybe some sharing tips, because I don't think it's that we don't like fruits and vegetables. I just think it's that if it's not there in front of us, we just don't go out of our way to get it. So, you know as well as I do, if you have something in the house, whether it's fruits and vegetables or chocolate, if it's right in front of you, you're gonna eat it, right? So, you know, if you have on your table a nice fruit bowl instead of the candy jar, you're gonna go towards the fruit bowl because it's right there. So I think keeping fruits and vegetables readily available, and maybe even taking the time once a week to like cut them up and prepare them and put them in containers. It's a pain, I get it, it takes time. But it may be helpful for you to eat more fruits and vegetables if they're readily available and they're right there. The other thing is maybe during that week you can share different recipes and tidbits for fruits and vegetables, because that's another thing. We may tend to not eat them because we don't like the taste or they're too bland. Like Brussels sprouts. I mean, seriously, who would eat a plain Brussels sprout? But if you put them on broil in the oven and you put some seasonings on there, they're really not all that bad. So I think sharing things like that, tips and recipes, might help during that fruits and vegetables. Another thing too to keep in mind, because sometimes we don't buy fruits and vegetables because we're afraid they're going to go bad if we don't eat them quick enough. There's nothing wrong with frozen, okay? The frozen fruits and vegetables still have the nutritional qualities of the fresh. So there's nothing wrong with buying frozen if you're afraid that your fruits and vegetables are going to go bad, okay? That's kind of the gist with the fruits and vegetables. There's nothing bad about them, and I think we all know how important they are to add to our diets. Then we get into the other fun stuff. Protein. The topic is the importance of protein quality. So protein, when we talk about protein, we're looking at things like animal proteins, chicken, you've got turkey, beef, then you have the fish, nuts, peanut butters, dairy products have protein. Protein gives us satiety, so protein makes us feel fuller. So oftentimes I like to tell people to make sure that every time you're eating a carbohydrate, you also have a protein, because the protein will fill you up. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're doing that. Another thing to keep in mind with protein, if you're eating carbohydrates, which we'll talk about too, your blood sugar spikes, all right? And then it's like a constant roller coaster. If we can combine that with protein and give it a little filling power, that prevents that blood sugar from spiking and your energy levels from going up and down. So protein is important from a standpoint of making us feel fuller, satisfied, but also it's the muscle building power that protein is too. Protein's the building blocks of our muscle. That's why we're in here. That's why you guys are working out. So you want to make sure you're getting the protein to hold on to that muscle, especially as we get older. And it's oftentimes hard to know how much protein you need. And sometimes people think you're not getting enough in your diet, so you need to add protein powders or supplements. And that's kind of iffy. I think sometimes we underestimate how much protein we're getting in our diet. But if you're eating a well-balanced diet and you're having protein at every meal and snack, you're probably getting enough. If you are someone who maybe doesn't get enough protein and you like to look at the protein powders, whey protein isolate is probably something you want to look for. Our bodies can digest that a little bit easier, so I like that. There's a lot of plant proteins out there. You've got pea protein, brown rice protein. Personally, I have never found a plant protein powder that doesn't taste chalky. That's me. If you find one and you like it and it tastes good, go for it.
Did anyone try the plant-based that we had on Tuesday?
Mm-hmm.
That protein, did you like it?
I thought it was a little sweet.
Was it?
Yeah, so that was my only thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't try mine yet.
What was it from or what?
It was from Southern Nutrition,
Okay.
but do you remember what the brand was? I'm not sure either.
Okay.
No, because he scooped it out in
Yeah.
a bag, so then later I'm like, okay.
Okay. Yeah. So the thing there is just to try it and see what works for you, and you have to like it. I mean, you have to like how it tastes, or you're not going to eat it. Okay. So that's very, very important. So the protein, it's vital. We need it. The protein breaks down into what's called essential amino acids, and that's what builds up our muscle tissue. So the protein is definitely important, and we need that, okay? So we want to make sure we're getting that definitely with every meal, and even if we can, with every snack. And we'll touch more on that when we talk about further on down our line here. The carbohydrates. I feel bad for carbohydrates. I mean, seriously, they get such a bad name, and they're not bad. Like, we need them. You don't have carbohydrates, you're not getting through a workout. Well, you are, but it's not going to be a good workout. So, carbohydrates are our fuel. That's what gives us energy. How many people do you know who are on a diet and they restrict their carbohydrates? How happy are they? Right? How confused do they look all the time? Carbohydrates break down into glucose. Glucose is the only thing that your brain uses for fuel. So if you limit and restrict those carbohydrates, how's that going to work for you? Right? So you've got to think about that. Not even so much from the performance standpoint, but even mentally. You know, you need those carbohydrates for fuel. Okay, so we need them, brain fuel, but then you also need them to power through your workouts. Okay, and even to recover from your workouts. So carbohydrates should never be avoided. However, there are different types of carbohydrates. You know, donuts are carbohydrates. Cookies are carbohydrates. Sugar's carbohydrates. So we don't want that. But, you know, fruits and vegetables have carbohydrates. Quinoa, however you want to say it, is a carbohydrate. Brown rice, all that. So we don't want to neglect that category. Or as an athlete, you're all athletes, doing the workouts, especially the workouts you're doing in here for the 45 minutes to an hour, you know, you're working out intense. So you want to make sure that you have that fuel to get through it. Okay, so the carbohydrates, definitely important. And then, so when people talk about macros, that's what we're talking about. Protein, carbohydrates, and fat. Okay, so we did protein, we did carbs, cannot leave out fat. Okay, and fat's an enemy too. That's a bad word, right? It's really not when we look at it. Your body needs fat. We need fat to cushion our organs and stuff like that. What we want to do is focus on the, quote, good fats. So we want to make sure we're getting the avocados. And that's a team, right? Team avocado.
I'll go cardio.
So the avocados, olives, those provide a good fat. There's fatty fish. So we need the essential fatty acids that are in there. And you've got salmon for that. That's a really good fatty fish. So fats shouldn't necessarily be avoided. It's just that we have to make sure that we're consuming the right ones. Olive oil is another one that's a good fat. And then you've got the fats that we use to make the good stuff, like the trans fats that are used in baked goods and things like that, the margarine and all that, that we may want to limit that a lot. Okay, so that's the fats. The next week is more than just water. And this one, okay, when you guys are doing a normal workout, water's probably fine, okay? But if you find that you're a heavy sweater, or maybe for whatever reason you're doing back-to-back sessions, or beyond what you do in here, you go outside and you're working out more than an hour, all right? Then you may want to go ahead and add in the electrolytes. There's so much out there, okay? And when I say sports drinks, I'm referring to the Gatorade, the Powerade. There's, bless you.
Thank you.
There's liquid IV now. There's all these different things. There's little tablets that you can put in. The important part with that is you want to make sure you're getting the electrolytes, okay? And when these sports drinks were made, like the Gatorade, for example, they were made for athletes to fuel their performance and give them that extra calories and electrolytes that they need. So if you're using a sports drink for performance, you need the calories and you need the electrolytes. So a Gatorade Zero, to me, serves no purpose, okay? You shouldn't be drinking Gatorade with your lunch anyway. So the Gatorades and the sports drinks, they are for your workout. They are for performance purposes. You should be drinking water or, like any other beverage you like. But that should be your beverage with your meals. If you have kids, you shouldn't send them Gatorade in their lunchbox. The Gatorade and the sports drinks, those are specifically for performance. The Gatorade Zero doesn't give you calories. It gives you artificial sugar, and it gives you the electrolytes, which we need. But I would stick to the regular sports drinks if you're going to use those, and limit that to if your workouts are longer than an hour, or when we get in the heat of the summer, if you find you're doing stuff outside and you're sweating profusely, then you want to look beyond water and make sure you're getting those electrolytes. Okay? And if we have questions about that, we can do that. I have to get on my soapbox, and I apologize if I offend anybody, but I work at Universal also, okay? And I work with a lot of athletes, especially high school ones. There's a difference between an energy drink and a sports drink. The sports drink is what we just talked about, the Gatorade, the Powerade, the electrolytes. Those are fine. The energy drink is this thing that has marketing geniuses on their staff because they make these cans look so cool. All right, and I mean, there's so many different ones. There's there's Bang, there's Rain, there's Red Bull was the first one that actually was really popular. So the problem I have with these, the kids at Universal, I call them kids, performers at Universal, they live on those things. And they know that I am the energy drink Nazi, because if I even see them with one, they're either accidentally tripping and spilling it, or they know they have to throw it out. Here's the thing with that. Inside that can, you have caffeine, which I have no problem with caffeine. I love coffee, no problem with that. I don't, in moderation. But in there, you have the herbal stimulants added, okay? To the normal, healthy Joe, it's not gonna be a problem. And people do drink them every day and they are fine. The problem I have is the 14-year-old baseball player who decides to drink a Red Bull before a game and goes into cardiac arrest. Yes, it's happened. Someone who has an underlying heart or kidney condition that drinks an energy drink for the first time and mixes that herbal stimulant in with a condition they didn't know they had, that can create a problem. If you're taking a medication that interacts with the herbal stimulant that may be in that can. So there's a real difference between an energy drink and a sports drink. If you don't drink those, don't start now. All right, if you do drink them, again, I would just recommend maybe moderation and being careful with stuff like that. So that's just my little soapbox. When you said water, I said drinks, and that's where I had to go with that one. But when in doubt, water's really your best friend with that, all right? Awesome. And hydration is really vital and very important for us, especially where we live here. I mean, starting in April and May, it's going to be ridiculously hot out. We got to make sure that we're staying hydrated. And I often tell the athletes too, there's an easy way to tell if you're hydrated. Plain and simple, when you go to the bathroom, look at the color of your urine. If it looks like lemonade, you're golden. Apple juice, you better start drinking some more. If it's neon, you're probably taking some vitamins or something that's messing with it. All right? So that's a very simple way to tell if you're on track with your hydration. Okay? Moving along, this one might be my favorite. The Orange Theory workout, prepare and repair. Okay? And especially if you're doing the workouts multiple times a week, it's like the prepare part, that can be tricky depending on when you're doing your workouts. We talked about the carbohydrates and we talked about making sure you have fuel. So you need that. Now, how many of you do the 5 a.m.? Nobody! That's awesome. Okay, so then we don't have to worry about that.
We got the 6 a.m. though. We have some 6 a.m.ers.
Okay, well, that's probably close enough.
Right, well, 7 a.m. to me is 5 p.m., so.
Yeah.
Okay, so, well, let me ask this then. How many of you do the workout fasted without having anything before you come in here? You do? Okay. And is the workout in the morning or later in the day? In the morning.
6
Okay. So, I would recommend that you try to have something in your system before you work out, even if it's a swig of a sports drink, some kind of a fuel to get you through, only because the workouts are intense and you want to make sure you're giving yourself 100%. Now, if that's what you've always done and that's what works for you, then that's totally fine. If you like to have something before a workout, but you feel like maybe your stomach gets upset, something as simple as a swig of those applesauce squeezy things, like this, just unsweetened applesauce, would be something that could just give you those carbohydrates to get you through the workout if you feel you need something. But here's the thing, so we said prepare and repair. If you are someone who works out first thing in the morning and doesn't eat anything, you need to focus on that recovery. So when you leave here, you have about a 30 to 60 minute window where your muscles are screaming for the nutrients because you just went through the workout and you just broke down your muscle tissue. We need to build it back up. And the way we do that is with proper nutrition. So make sure you're getting the protein and the calories after the workout, especially if you didn't put anything in before, okay? Now, so the repair part, the recovery, you're gonna go through, if we look at the week, okay, you're gonna go through, like let's take a football team, okay? So you're gonna start your week on a Monday, right? Monday and Tuesday, let's say you're slacking and you're not paying attention to your recovery. So you're going through your workout, you're leaving here, you're getting ready for work, you're going to work, and it's finally like 6 hours later when you decide to eat something. Monday, Tuesday, that's fine. By the time the end of the week comes, you're done, you're spent. You haven't given your body enough nutrition and proteins to recover from every workout and build itself back up. So like I said with the football team, they practice Monday, Tuesday. Their games are Friday night, Saturday. So if they are constantly breaking the muscle tissue down, hard workout after hard workout, by the time game day comes, they have nothing if they're not focusing on that recovery. So from a nutrition standpoint, you want to make sure after every workout, you are getting a balance of protein and carbohydrates, and preferably something within the first 30 minutes to an hour. So I personally think a shake or something is the easiest. And that way, if you're leaving here and you're going straight home to shower and get ready for work, it's definitely the most convenient, and then you can have breakfast or even lunch, mid-morning, whatever. So the recovery is very important no matter what, but it's even more important if you're not having anything before the workout. And like I said, the reason the recovery is important is to get you through the week, to get you through the entire challenge. If you're not putting the proper fuel back in and recovering, then you're just breaking down all the muscle you're working so hard to build. So that recovery is very, very, very important. Okay? And then the last thing that you have as far as on your little agenda, is building a balanced plate. And this is really cool. You probably can't see it, and that's fine. We'll pass it around. But if you go on the USOC, so United States Olympic Committee, and you type in nutrition or athlete's plate, you can pull this up. And when you're looking at your plate, it should be balanced. We talked in the very beginning, it should have color. Okay, like I look at my son's plate and it's brown and white. Like you've got chicken nuggets and then French fries or mashed potatoes, and maybe if you're lucky you have like corn or mac and cheese. But like there's no color. You need color. So the fruits and vegetables should be half of your plate. Okay? And then you have the protein and the carbohydrates. And that doesn't change. So the components of a balanced, healthy plate don't change. You have to have the color with the fruits and vegetables, the healthy carbohydrates, and the proteins. I feel the fat's gonna be there. You know, you're gonna get the fat with the protein that you're eating or with the carbohydrates that you're eating. So that's why they don't really have a separate section for that. But it's gonna be there. You know it's gonna come in somehow, you're gonna get it. So that's the basic components of the healthy plate are the same. It's just the amount changes based on what your goals are. So the fruits and vegetables will always be there. The carbohydrate amounts may change based upon your goals. So if your goals are weight loss, maybe the carbohydrates will be a little lower than if your goal is bulking up or more performance. And then the protein, same thing. The protein will change based upon your age and what your workout goals are and things like that. So the basic components of the plate are the same. It's just the amounts change based upon what your goals are. Okay? All right, awesome. So that is what I have for you in terms of touching very briefly on every component that every week will consist of throughout the challenge. So from what I understand, you're gonna have everything on Facebook on the post. So like I said, especially with the fruit and vegetable section, I think putting tips on there and recipes will help a lot. And just remember, you know, people are going to share things with you and they're going to give you ideas and they're going to tell you what they've tried. Take it, you know, read it and digest it and everything and try it. But know that it might not work for you, and that is okay. But some things you may find will work for you. So oftentimes people come to me and like, just tell me what to eat. Just tell me what I need to eat. And I'm like, okay. There's no one meal plan. You can't do that. You have to, like, as a dietitian, I have to educate you on how to create a meal plan and eat throughout the day. So it's not about just having a cookie cutter meal plan. You have to kind of build that on your own, and every day might be different. You know, you don't know based upon what life throws at you at that time. So the world of nutrition is just so individualized based upon what your unique goals might be. So that being said, questions, comments, concerns? Yeah.
Just a simple question regarding water.
Yeah.
What's best, drinking room temperature water or cold water?
That's a tough one. The room temperature, only because you're gonna drink more of it, whereas I think the cold water, you could take sips of it, you know, but as far as it being more digestible or getting into your system any different, I don't feel like there's anything like that. I think it's whatever you like. You know, if you're gonna drink cold water more than room temperature, then go for it. So I think it's just a matter of preference and what you're gonna drink. And another thing with the water too is always keeping it with you, especially in the car. I mean, even if you have to definitely have cold water in the car, you know it's going to be room temperature by the time you get to it. So I don't think there's a advantage or disadvantage to either one. I think it's just a preference thing.
Yeah, I've just like read.
There's
mixed
a
stuff
lot.
about one is better for you in regards to absorbing into
Correct.
your system
And helping with digestion and all that stuff. I haven't seen that there's any, as long as you're drinking the water, I think that's more important than the temperature of it. Whatever's more comfortable for you. Everyone else is all set and ready to dive in, right?
What are your thoughts on animal protein versus plant protein?
Okay, good question. So the animal protein, when you're looking at protein, we're looking at essential amino acids. That is what makes up a protein. When you have the animal proteins, they have all of our essential amino acids in there, so they're what's called a complete protein. Now, some of your plant proteins may be missing a few of those essential amino acids. But all that means is, like let's say you're eating like chickpeas. Those are a plant protein. You're eating that. That just means that you may need to have a complementary protein with that. So you may need to have rice with your chickpeas. So as long as you're eating a balanced diet and you're including a variety of those plant-based proteins. So some of your vegetables have a little bit of protein in them. Tofu would be a plant-based protein. Soy is plant-based protein. Your chickpeas, your beans, things like that. As long as you're getting a wide variety, especially if you're strictly vegetarian, you're gonna be fine. But you wanna make sure you're getting a variety so you get all of those amino acids in there. Whereas if you have the animal proteins or the fish, chicken, all that stuff, that's gonna give you a complete protein. So it's just easier when you're eating the animal protein.
Should you try to avoid animal protein
Yeah, so
on a day or two?
as far as the health benefits go, the plant protein's probably gonna outweigh the animal protein most of the time. Again, it's what you're gonna do. I mean, if you love your steak, I mean, go for it. No, you shouldn't eat it every day, but you know, if you want the red meat a couple days a week, I don't see a problem with that. Again, everything in moderation. Make sure you have variety in there. There's a trend, I don't hear it as much now, but like Meatless Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if you're a meat eater and you love it, maybe you pick one day out of the week and try to eat vegetarian or plant-based. So I think if you just have that variety in there, I feel like maybe focusing more on the fish and the chicken and then, you know, throwing the red meat in there once in a while is probably better from a heart health standpoint. Any other questions? I think there was, yeah.
After workouts, you talked about a shake. Is there any other fruits, protein bar, bananas, blueberries, anything?
Yes, yes, and yes. So, like I said, as long as you could have that combination of protein and carbs. So, I just thought a shake is the easiest. There's also like a protein shake you could make, and then I had, so there's a protein shake and there's also like a meal replacement. So, again, always go food first, always. But sometimes convenience wins. And then something like this, again, you can keep it in your car, you don't need to refrigerate it, drink it as you're going home, whatever. But if you need something else, if you're gonna have a banana, maybe you bring some pistachios with you, because those are really easy to eat when you're driving. Maybe you bring the peeled pistachios with you. Yeah. There's also, I thought I had, these are real fun. The cashews and the dried pineapple. That may not be enough, but you want to make sure you're getting, like I said, the carbohydrate with the protein. So maybe you have an apple and some peanut butter, or an apple and a cheese stick. That would be easier. Just something that you're getting the carbohydrates and the protein right after the workout. Maybe you have something as simple as a peanut butter and jelly sandwich on whole wheat bread. You know how it doesn't get much easier than that. So yeah, as long as you're getting something, it doesn't have to be a protein shake or a meal replacement shake, but you definitely need to get the calories from the carbs and the protein at that time. Yes.
I feel like my big weakness is like I have a limited amount of willpower throughout the day
Don't we all?
to completely resist temptation. Like
Okay.
after an OTF workout, sometimes I just go next to Publix and I'm like, I'm gonna get a sugary chocolate milk and down that because that's good for me,
Okay.
right?
But listen, it's not a bad idea.
Sure.
After the workout, there's protein in there, there's electrolytes in the milk.
I guess I'm curious from your experience for folks who have made like permanent changes to their lifestyle, what characteristics do they share? Like what do their diets look like? What approaches do they take?
So, when you said lifestyle, didn't you? I heard lifestyle. Okay, that's the key right there. I think you have to approach it from the standpoint of whatever changes you're making, they have to be changes that can stay with you. So in other words, if you're going through the challenge and you're severely restricting your calorie intake or avoiding the snacks that you know you're eventually going to have, it's not going to help you. It's not going to stay with you for your lifetime, okay? You want to make sure that the whole time you're thinking about this, you're not just focusing on 8 weeks, you're focusing on the rest of your life. And what are you realistically going to be able to do? So if the willpower is your issue, maybe you have healthier options in your car or something. Or maybe when you go to Publix, if you have that chocolate milk, which by the way, is not a bad recovery drink after a workout. Okay, so don't knock it. But maybe you go for something that has a little more protein in it, okay? Or maybe if you have to have that Publix chocolate chip cookie or something after this, then just make sure the rest of your day is healthy. You have extra fruits and vegetables thrown in there. Or the other thing is too, people oftentimes will cut out their temptation. So they'll take away the brownies or the chocolate or whatever cold turkey. And you know as well as I do, you restrict something for so long and you keep restricting it, and then one day you're just going all out and you're gonna have it all. So why not have a little bit when the temptation arises? And I'd rather see you have a little bit often than have like an entire box in one sitting. So again, it's all about figuring out that lifestyle change. And you can look, and like I said, on social media, whatever, there's so many different tips and ideas and things that have worked for other people, and you may get 1 or 2 things out of there that you try that work for you, but not everything is going to. So I think just figuring out what's going to work for your lifestyle, and you've already done amazing so far, so obviously something's worked. So I think, making it stick, that's the key. And giving into temptation, I mean, like I said, as long as it's not on a consistent basis and you're balancing it out with healthier choices a majority of the time.
Sure, thank you.
And yeah, it's really fun that they built the Publix right next to it. Some of them, like, there's another, I think it is an Orange, maybe it's not Orange Theory, but it's another gym, and there's like a crumble cookie place right there. Like, who does that? Man. You have to hope that you do your workout when that's closed. Maybe you change your workout time when Publix isn't open. Like you become a 5 a.m. person.
No.
Yes.
So a lot of people with the challenge are probably in a calorie deficit, do you think that BCAAs, like, coming in like powder form are a good idea? Can that be like a protein replacement, or is like the BCAA, like?
So post-workout,
Yeah.
I do think so. I mean, because again, the branched chain amino acids, BCAAs, that's the building block of your protein. So if you're gonna take, like, put it in your water or whatever after a workout, that's your recovery. So yeah, I don't see a problem with that.
Wait, so you take that as opposed to a protein supplement after a workout?
Yeah.
Or, oh, okay.
It would be like your protein. I would still probably have a carbohydrate not too soon after that. Just again for that whole recovery standpoint. But yeah, no, I don't see a problem with that at all. Yes.
You had mentioned about trying to fuel before you work out.
Yeah.
Or perhaps having a swig of sports drink.
Yep.
If you're not doing that, does a hydration tablet while you're working out quantify for the same purpose or not really?
So it depends. There's my thing. It depends. So some of the hydration tablets, I don't know if they have calories in them. I think it's more you're getting the electrolytes, and that's probably not going to give you the energy that you need. It's not bad. It's not going to hurt, but you're going to want something with some calories in it. Yeah.
I ask because I tend to drink water with a hydration tablet because I'm a sweater.
Yeah.
I don't wear sweaters, but I am a sweater.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it doesn't work. Maybe is what you're saying.
No, I'm not. I mean,
Not
if
that
you're a
you
heavy
stop doing
sweater,
it,
the
but I feel-
electrolytes are going to help for sure.
Try to fuel with something else before that as well.
But if you're looking for performance and fuel, you'll need something with a little bit of calories in there too. And look at your tablet. I don't know, it may have
It's like
calories
15
in it.
calories.
Yeah.
Not many.
So you may need something more,
I
or
think I
maybe,
like the first word you said.
or maybe you do like a body armor or something with a little bit of calories in addition to the electrolytes too. Something that works too before a workout are the gels and stuff, the little gummy gels. I know Gatorade makes one too. So again, if you're looking for something with the simple sugar that's going to be digested real fast, and your body's going to probably be able to handle it before a workout, you just need that quick fuel, that may be something to look at too.
What is my thing, it's like, what is the list of ingredients in those
This
things?
one?
So
make me tell.
I look at the stuff that I don't understand, I'm like, I'm not gonna eat this.
Well, the thing with this is it's strictly for performance, so
Okay.
giving you fuel for your workout. So for this one, it's like tapioca syrup, organic sugar, which seriously, what is organic sugar? Like, it's sugar.
Sugar.
But these things,
Right.
that's what they're gonna be, pretty
Right.
much. So they're just giving you that simple sugar. I mean, you'd probably be better off with just the applesauce or a banana, because at least you're getting
One
that
ingredient,
natural
whatever,
sugar.
yeah.
But this does have kind of a little laundry list. But there's blueberry powder and pomegranate powder and everybody wants to. There's nothing wrong with raisins either. You know, I mean, a lot of people, I know when I was training for a marathon, these were the easiest thing because I could just carry them with me in a little Ziploc bag. And it's your perfect little energy fuel right there. So there's simple things around that you can do if you want that little bit of fuel before a workout. Any other questions about anything? We can even divulge away from the 8-week topics that we talked about.
I think you talked a little bit about like the needing maybe more protein.
Yeah.
After you're 40, like your weight is the same since you were 20. You look the same, and then you do the test here, and you're 35%
The
body
body
fat. I'm like, I'm a
percentage.
fake skinny person. It's just like muscles just don't build.
Well,
but I know I'm not doing any of the before and after, so that was to me the highlight of this as well. Like,
Right. I
can go
think
so long without
as we
eating it.
age, that's the biggest thing, is we definitely need to keep that protein in there. And it's a challenge to make sure you're getting enough, and especially if you're restricting your calories or you're watching your animal protein and stuff like that. So it's definitely very, very important as we get older. And especially if you're doing the resistance training, you want to make sure that you're getting that protein in there. And don't forget it, you can also find it in, you know, the low-fat cottage cheeses. And, you know, if you are a dairy product person, you can find it in there.
Eat dairy, can eat gluten, but how do we purposely look for the good stuff?
Yeah, or in your case, the protein shake might be
Yeah.
beneficial for you.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
a good rule of thumb of how much protein?
Okay, so typically, if you take your weight divided by 2.2, you get your weight in kilograms, all right? And anywhere from 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight. But you know what I say? Easy way, your body weight. So a gram of protein per pound is rough, that's probably more than what you need. But if you're never going to get what you need anyway. So if you strive for that, you know you're probably coming pretty close. Okay, but the rule of thumb is 0.8 to 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. And then if you're working out with weights or your goal is to build, you'd obviously want more than that. Okay,
And
but
just-
that's kind of a guideline.
Right, and you also mentioned like trying to have protein on snacks. Any kind of good examples of?
I think with the snacks, your best bet's probably going to be things like hummus has a little bit of protein in there, nuts have protein. I don't totally object to like a beef jerky even. There's really not a lot of fat in there. I mean, there's nitrates and some preservatives in there. But if you need a quick protein as a snack and you're crunched for time, then beef jerky's not bad. There's a lot of bars out there that have a lot of protein in them. That might not be a bad idea. You said you can't have, well, there's
Yeah,
plant
I don't
protein
really
based.
snack a lot, but maybe when I do feel like it, then I can look for some
Yeah,
ideas.
and you're not a dairy person either, right? You said, but there's plant-based, like cheeses and stuff
Yeah.
like that you can reach for as well. Any other questions? Comments, concerns? Yeah.
What's the Facebook?
Okay, so if you search on your homepage, OTF Windermere Family, we'll come up and I'll approve you to get into the group. And then every week we have a challenge. If you post the challenge for the week, your team gets a point for the challenge. And at the end, whatever team wins gets a winner's dinner that we take out to dinner. So speaking of, who's an avocardio? Oh, yes. Okay. Who's a nacho? Nick, yeah. Ooh, I could add myself too, cool. And Kyle, all right, avocardios. All right, cool.
Awesome. Well, if there are any questions, like I said, definitely post them to the Facebook page and I'll keep an eye on that. And then you can even reach out to Katie and she can get a hold, whatever we need to do, and we can address those kind of more on a one-on-one basis.
Do you take clients?
Yeah,
So
if you
anyone's
feel
interested-
like you need the individualized attention, absolutely. Awesome. And I can hang out here if anyone wants to wait after too. All right, cool.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you guys for coming. Make sure you join the group if you haven't. Fabulous Saturday. Thank you.